You know what pisses me off is people that become teachers that shouldn't fucking become teachers. I don't get all these people in public schools that decide to become teachers, yet they hate kids. Or teenagers, or minors basically. They hate minors. Why the hell would you become a teacher if you hate minors? That's who you're teaching, minors. Unless you're teaching college classes, you're not teaching adults. You're teaching minors. So why the hell teach people you don't like? I mean, back in my last year of high school, I had this asshole physics teacher named Mr. Petchik, and he was a fucking dick. You know, he was a fucking dick. He constantly talked down to the class, not teach the work that well. You know, yell at people, make people leave the room for doing nothing. He was an asshole. And he'd say things like, you know why people always complain about teenagers? Because it's true. What the fuck? That's patronizing as hell. We're not all bad. Teenagers aren't... Well, okay, I'm not a teenager anymore. I don't know. Well, teenagers aren't all bad. And you don't just go talking down to your fucking audience. Well, that's what he did. He did it all the fucking time, the whole fucking year. And you get assholes like these in charge of, you know, America's youth, and I don't get why society doesn't give a fuck. I don't get why people don't give a fuck. I mean, the system doesn't give a fuck, of course, because, well, it's the system. The parents of the students don't give a fuck. And the average Joe doesn't give a fuck. Society doesn't give a fuck. So who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck that you got assholes that are teachers that shouldn't fucking be teachers? Who? Who cares? Who actually cares? It's a very small amount of people that say, hey, these assholes shouldn't be teachers. We should get people that do want to be teachers that be teachers. I mean, you got teachers that are condescending to the students. They don't like what they're teaching, which is more reason why they shouldn't be a teacher. They can't teach you that well. They're inefficient, you know, bullshit stuff. I don't really have sympathy for these people. I mean, there are other jobs out there. And to be a teacher in a public school, you need a college degree, right? Which means you had money to pay for college to get the degree, right? Well, that means with that money, you could have spent it on getting a college degree you actually liked. You know, on something you actually would like doing. But no, instead, you chose to get a degree in teaching, which is a job you don't fucking like. I don't get... You know what else I don't get? These people that teach and don't like it, or at least they're a dick about it, they teach for like 30 years. They teach for like decades. I mean, I've heard teachers say how long they've taught, and I've always heard something like 30 years, 20 years, at the very least, a decade. A decade of talking down to students and punishing them, and maybe worse. I mean, teachers have abused students before sexually, as well as having relationships with students inappropriately, illegally, and physical abuse. And, oh yeah, that relationships thing, that happens a lot. That happens a lot in public schools. And I'm like, okay, if you have all these adults wanting to fuck the students, then maybe we shouldn't send students to this school anymore. Maybe, I mean, society, maybe, you know, people would wake up and think, okay, if teachers are having inappropriate relationships with students, and it's happening a lot of fucking times, then maybe this isn't a safe place to send their kids to get an education. But no, people send their students, their kids to public schools anyway. Despite the fact it's inefficient, it's forced. Okay, well, forced, yeah, it makes sense to take your kid to school so they don't get in trouble, but it's okay, scratch that reason. It's inefficient, it's indoctrination, it's dangerous, you got bullying, abusive teachers, you got, it's stressful, it's costly, 5 reasons are enough, more than enough to be against the public education system. Actually, you only need 1 reason. So, you got all these parents still sending their students to public school, as well as people saying, kids need an education. Well, that being said, shouldn't these kids that need an education be getting a good one? Because you won't find it here. You won't find a good education at a public school. You'll find a good education at a private school or a home school or a college, but not a public school. Because guess what? Public school is forced. So they don't have to, improve things, unlike a private school, which if it doesn't improve things, it goes out of business. But a public school, since at the very least you have to go to public school, if you can't go to private school or homeschooling, they don't have to improve things. Because guess what? You have to go. It has no incentive to improve because it's against the free market. So you're going to keep getting crappy teachers. So, you get some pretty nasty people in charge, and yet people still support the public school system. Despite the fact it's forced, it's indoctrination, it's costly, it's inefficient, it's dangerous. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention school shootings in public schools? Because that happens a lot. That happens a lot. That happens a shit ton of public school shootings. Yeah, it can happen. It's happened in private schools before, in colleges, and shit like that, but it mostly happens at public school. Which doesn't arm anyone except for the campus police officers, if it has the campus police officer. Usually, high schools and middle schools have campus police officers, but elementary schools, not so much. At least mine didn't. Those are the only people who are armed, if there's any. The teachers, they don't arm them. They don't allow teachers to carry guns if they're responsible, which really gets me because if teachers could be armed, they could fight a school shooter, whoever it may be, an angry student, a stranger, whoever they may be. If you had armed teachers, you could defend the school. So, I can't stand this idiocy that, you should have people that like teaching, that like students, that aren't authoritarian fucks over them, to teach. That's who you need to be teaching. You don't need fucks like Mr. Peshek to be teaching. You don't need those people. You need people that want to be there and like the people there to teach them. So I hope I'm not repeating myself. I want to get all this information out there. So, okay, basic points. You should like teaching, you should like students, you should be good at it, those are the basic points. If you have people that don't like teaching or don't like students or don't do a good job, or all 3 or some of them, then it's not going to turn out well. The class isn't going to like the teacher, they're not going to do so well, compared to if they had a good teacher. The teacher's going to be stressed out, you think, hey, we should have people who like to be here. Okay, so, yeah, you got, that's one reason I don't think education should be forced. So you don't have to deal with these assholes. That's one reason I don't think it should be forced. I explain other reasons in other videos why it shouldn't be forced, but that's, the reason for this video I'm pointing out that it shouldn't be forced is, You get assholes. I'm not even talking about the bullies. You get the teachers that are assholes. You know, the ones that are supposed to reprimand the bullies but don't. The ones that are the reason that school exists in the first place is to teach, more or less, since, you know, it's an indoctrination center. So yeah, that's it.